Because you don't have much time. You have 100 years if you're lucky. They go by like that. If you have $100, you spend $1 a day. Before you know it, you're fucking broke. That's life.
Joe Rogan, the man who says he is not afraid to speak the truth, has just pointed directly at two giants, Bill Gates and Michael Jackson. And now, only 3 weeks after the DOJ released 3 million pages of Epstein Files, the entire world is on edge. Because this is where it gets darker. A tech billionaire stands before his own foundation and admits to secret affairs with 2 Russian women. At the same time, the king of pop resurfaces in private Palm Beach photos with Epstein, unsmiling like it was nothing. No charges, no clear answers, just images that refuse to fade. And then the whispers grow louder. A calculated honeypot. Nerd fishing the most powerful minds in the world. Hidden cameras. Silent leverage, careers hanging by invisible threads. So here is the question. Is this the truth finally breaking open, or just the surface of a much bigger game still unfolding behind closed doors? Stay with me, because in this video, we are going deeper than headlines. And if you want the full breakdown as new details keep surfacing, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss what comes next. 1. Bill Gates. From huge mistake to STD rumors. Now let us rewind the clock just a bit and step straight into Bill Gates's dark journey with Jeffrey Epstein, moment by moment, so you can see everything unfold clearly right in front of your eyes. In 2011, Jeffrey Epstein had already served time and been released from prison in 2008 for procuring underage girls for prostitution. Yet Bill Gates, the man widely regarded as the smartest on the planet, still chose to meet him. Not once, but repeatedly, stretching from 2011 all the way through 2014. They sat down together in New York, in Germany, in France. The official topic? Philanthropy. The Gates Foundation was looking to expand its global health funds, and Epstein presented himself as a man with vast connections to billionaires and major banks like JP Morgan. Gates even brought members of his own team into those meetings. They discussed donor-advised funds and ways to move money for medical projects. On the surface, it all sounded reasonable, but then the details started leaking out, and they were anything but clean. By 2013, a massive bomb detonated in the Epstein Files, released in January 2026. These were emails Epstein himself drafted. Some believe he actually sent them, while others argue they were just threats. In them, Epstein accused Gates point-blank of sleeping with Russian girls, catching a sexually transmitted disease, and then begging Epstein to secretly buy antibiotics and deliver them to Melinda French Gates, his wife at the time, without her ever knowing. Epstein went further, claiming Gates asked him to facilitate illicit trysts with married women, supplied Adderall, and demanded all emails describing "your penis" be deleted. The language was vicious and furious, as if Epstein was deliberately trying to smear Gates after being cut off. The files even included a photo. Bill Gates posing with a woman whose face was completely redacted. Who was she? The files still refused to say. Gates later explained the picture was taken after a routine business meeting. Then, just 2 days ago, on February 25, 2026, everything exploded in public. Bill Gates walked into a closed-door town hall with his Gates Foundation staff. The atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. The room was packed, cameras rolling on every word. Gates looked directly at them and spoke in a low, steady voice. It was a huge mistake to spend time with Epstein. He admitted he had brought Foundation team members into those meetings and that it damaged the organization's reputation. Then he went deeper, confirming what millions had long suspected. I did have affairs. One with a Russian bridge player who met me at bridge events, and one with a Russian nuclear physicist who I met through business activities. 2 Russian women, one a bridge player he encountered at tournaments, the other a nuclear physicist he met through work. Gates stressed repeatedly. They were not Epstein's victims. "I did nothing illicit. I saw nothing illicit." He repeated those words like a final shield, desperate to wipe away every shadow of doubt. But the room stayed silent. Everyone remembered what Melinda French Gates had already said. In her NPR interview earlier this month, she revealed that meeting Epstein even once had given her endless nightmares. "He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards." She described Epstein as the embodiment of pure evil, and she admitted the whole Epstein connection with Bill played a major role in their 2021 divorce. Now, and with Gates openly confessing to 2 affairs with Russian women, the exact ones Epstein's emails tied to the STD scandal, people are whispering, was the Russian girl's secret the final straw that pushed Melinda to walk away? She has stayed quiet since, offering no further comment, but the pain still hangs heavy in the air. Picture the scene. Bill Gates, the man who once changed the world with software and vaccines, now standing before his own employees, apologizing for a colossal blunder. He denies any sexual wrongdoing tied to Epstein's victims, denies ever visiting Little St. James Island, denies overnight flights on the Lolita Express. Yet the files do not lie. They prove he met Epstein years after Epstein's 2008 conviction for crimes against minors. Why? Why would someone with Gates' intellect, someone who calculates every risk, step into such an obvious trap? Across forums and social media, the whispers grow louder. Were those 2 Russian women truly just random lovers? Or bait carefully placed by Epstein to reel Gates in deeper? Were they part of a larger web where Epstein used women to gather dirt, to blackmail? And that redacted face photo? Who is hidden behind the blur? The files keep that secret locked tight, but suspicion spreads like wildfire. Gates closed the town hall by promising to take full responsibility. He said he regrets every single second. But the question lingers like smoke. How could Bill Gates, with his superhuman intelligence and immense power, make such a stupid mistake? Was it pure curiosity gone wrong? Or did he get pulled into a game where Epstein held all the strings? And if so, how many more secrets are still waiting to surface? 2. Michael Jackson, from Neverland to Epstein's house. Let's shift the spotlight now to the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, a man whose life was already wrapped in layers of mystery, a controversy, and unbreakable fame. His name surfaces in the Epstein Files like a ghost from the past, haunting, fleeting, and impossible to ignore. But unlike Gates, who walked into meetings with eyes wide open, Jackson's connection feels more like a single, eerie snapshot frozen in time. We'll walk through it step by step, scene by scene, so you can picture every detail as it happened. Picture the early 2000s, before Jackson's tragic death in 2009. The king of pop is at the height of his reclusive phase, living in the fantasy world he built at Neverland Ranch in California, a sprawling estate with amusement rides, a zoo, movie theaters, and endless gardens designed to recapture the childhood he never had. He's surrounded by children, families, celebrities dropping by for events, and security that's tight but welcoming to the innocent. Neverland is his sanctuary, his escape from the glare of the world. Yet whispers have always followed him. Accusations from past lawsuits, trials that ended in acquittal, and a public that could never quite decide if he was Peter Pan or something darker. Now, zoom in on one particular day, sometime before 2009, likely in the mid-2000s. Michael Jackson arrives at Jeffrey Epstein's lavish mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. The house is a fortress of luxury, marble floors, ocean views, staff everywhere, and that unmistakable air of untouchable wealth. Our Epstein greets him casually, dressed down in flip-flops and casual clothes, looking more like a laid-back host than a financier. Jackson stands tall beside him, aviator sunglasses hiding his eyes, hair straightened and perfect, a black blazer with a white flower on the lapel, his skin pale under the Florida sun. They pose together next to a large painting of a woman sunbathing, both smiling faintly as if this is just another celebrity meet and greet. The photo, unreleased in the DOJ's massive December 2025 photo dump, captures that exact moment. No island in sight, no private jet logged, just two powerful men in a rich man's living room. It's undated, unexplained, but the image sticks because it's so ordinary and yet so loaded. There's another photo floating in the files, one that's been public for years but resurfaced with fresh scrutiny. It shows Jackson standing with former President Bill Clinton and Diana Ross, all of them with their kids around. Our arms draped casually, smiles wide. It looks like a Democratic fundraiser or charity event from the old days. Innocent family vibes, nothing sinister. But in the context of the Epstein Files, it raises the eyebrow. How many degrees of separation were there really between these circles? The key testimony comes from Johanna Sjoberg, one of Epstein's former massage therapists turned accuser. In her 2016 deposition, unsealed back in 2024 and referenced again in later releases, she recalls the encounter clearly. She's asked point blank, "Did you ever meet anybody famous when you were with Jeffrey?" Her answer is straightforward. "I met Michael Jackson at his house in Palm Beach." The lawyer presses further. "Did you give him a massage?" Sjoberg replies without hesitation, "No." No elaboration, no drama, no hint of anything improper. She met him. That's it. One brief introduction in Epstein's living room, probably during some casual gathering. Jackson comes, says hello, and leaves. End of story on the record. Yet Jackson's name appears over 200 times across the Epstein files, mostly in contact lists, old newsletters, random mentions, or even a different Michael Jackson, who was a handyman or decorator working on Epstein's kitchen. No flight logs show him boarding the Lolita Express. No records place him on Little St. James Island. No victim has accused him of wrongdoing in connection with Epstein. The files are silent on any deeper involvement. So why the buzz? Why the chills? Here's where the darker whispers creep in, the ones spreading like wildfire across social media, forums, and late-night threads. People point to Neverland and spin theories that twist the heart. Rumors claim Jackson knew too much about Epstein's operation. Maybe he glimpsed the underbelly during that one visit to Palm Beach, and used Neverland as a counter-fortress, a safe haven where he shielded children from the kind of predators Epstein represented. In some posts go further. Michael Jackson protected kids from what was happening on Epstein's island. Neverland was his way of fighting back. Others push the edge. He was silenced in 2009 because he knew too much. That's why the overdose happened. Macaulay Culkin even gets dragged in, with viral clips claiming Jackson once stopped him from boarding a plane tied to Epstein's circle. And it's gripping stuff, almost heroic if true, but there's zero hard evidence in the files or anywhere else to back it up. Jackson died in June 2009 from acute propofol intoxication administered by his doctor Conrad Murray, who was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The timeline predates Epstein's full exposure by years. No link exists beyond speculation. And then there's the juiciest whisper of all, the one that feels straight out of a thriller. Epstein allegedly bragged to friends, "I've got the king of pop in my pocket." Did he say it? No file confirms it, but the idea lingers. Epstein, the master collector of powerful names, dropping Jackson's like a trophy. Was Jackson just another celebrity photo op for Epstein's ego? Or did he get too close, see something he shouldn't, and become a loose end? Step back and look at the full picture. Jackson's world was Neverland, bright, whimsical, child-centered. Epstein's was shadows, cameras, compromise. One visit to Palm Beach, One photo, one brief meeting witnessed by Joburg, and suddenly the two collide in files released long after Jackson's death. No accusations stick, no flights, no island. Yet the images burn into memory, fueling endless questions. Was it innocent networking? A property tour gone weird? Jackson reportedly looked at real estate in Palm Beach around that time? Or something more calculated, a brush with the honeypot that never quite caught him? The files drop hints, but no bombshells on Jackson. So he haunts them from beyond the grave, a silent figure in sunglasses smiling next to a man in flip-flops. And in the quiet spaces between the documents, the rumors grow louder. Protector? Victim? Or just another name Epstein collected like a trophy? One thing is clear, the king of pop's shadow stretches long, even into the darkest corners of Epstein's empire. And as more pages turn, we keep wondering, what did he really see that day in Palm Beach? Sand. Yet a climax, connecting the dots and the bigger game. Now pull back the lens and let the full picture come into focus. We've walked through Bill Gates's calculated missteps and Michael Jackson's ghostly cameo in Epstein's world. Two men at opposite ends of fame, one the ultimate brain, the other the ultimate icon, both brushing against the same dark orbit. And Joe Rogan, years ago, gave it a name that keeps echoing louder with every new file drop. Nerd fishing. Think about what Rogan meant. Our Epstein didn't just throw wild parties for rock stars or politicians. He built a very specific trap for a very specific type. The brilliant, the untouchable, the ones who rarely let their guard down in public. Gates fits perfectly. The guy who can model pandemics in his head, solve global health equations on napkins, but maybe not social predators. Jackson fits in a different way. The most famous human alive for decades, someone who lived under constant surveillance yet craved genuine connection, and someone who built Neverland as his own private escape. Both were magnets for admiration, both carried secrets or vulnerabilities, both walked into rooms where Epstein was waiting with open arms, beautiful people, and allegedly hidden cameras everywhere. Rogan laid it out plainly on his podcast. These weren't random hangouts. Epstein created an environment where powerful, brilliant, or famous men could finally let loose without the world watching. No paparazzi, no leaks, no judgment, just indulgence in a place that felt safe because presidents and royalty had already been there. Clinton gets a massage while talking physics? That's the bait. The island becomes the only place these men can drop the mask. And once they do, the real game begins. Nerd fishing, dangle intellectual conversation, elite company, and private pleasures, then reel them in with compromise material. Gates chasing big ideas for his foundation, and Jackson perhaps chasing a moment of normalcy amid the chaos of his life. Both end up in the same net. Here's where the speculation turns electric, and we have to be clear. This is speculation, the kind of dark theorizing that fills late-night threads and private chats, not proven fact. But the questions won't stay quiet. What if Epstein really was running a honeypot for Mossad, the CIA, or some hybrid intelligence operation? The theory has circulated for years. A financier with no clear source of wealth suddenly surrounded by heads of state, billionaires, scientists, and celebrities. He moves money in ways no one can trace. He collects powerful friends like trophies. Cameras roll in every room. If that's true, then Gates and Jackson weren't random guests. They were high-value targets. Gates, with his influence over global health policy and trillions in foundation money. Jackson, and with cultural reach that shaped generations and a personal life already under microscope. Two massive fish, one caught on intellect, the other on fame. Were they filmed, blackmailed, leveraged quietly for years? No smoking gun video has surfaced in the released files, but the 2026 batch still leaves millions of pages redacted or withheld. Entire drives of images and videos remain locked away. So the chilling possibility lingers. What if somewhere in those unreleased troves there are frames of Gates in a vulnerable moment, or Jackson caught off guard in Palm Beach? We don't know. We may never know. But the absence of proof isn't proof of absence. And Joe Rogan? He's been sounding the alarm for over a decade. Back when most people laughed off Epstein's stories as conspiracy nonsense, Rogan had Alex Jones on the show, laying out the island, the underage girls, the filming, the elite compromise operation. Rogan's initial reaction was disbelief. Get the fuck out of here. But he kept listening, kept asking questions. Now, with millions of pages confirming flights, contacts, emails, and photos, those old warnings look prophetic. Rogan didn't predict every detail, but he saw the pattern. Power protects itself by collecting dirt on power. If Epstein was the collector, who was he collecting for? And how many more big fish are still swimming free, quietly terrified that their own file might surface next? The open questions hang heavy. Was Gates simply guilty of terrible judgment, trusting the wrong man in pursuit of good causes? Or did he stumble into a game far bigger than he realized, one where curiosity cost him his marriage, his reputation, and perhaps more we haven't seen? He says it was a mistake. He regrets every minute. Yet the meetings continued for years after Epstein's conviction. Smart people don't make the same mistake repeatedly unless something else is pulling the strings. Jackson's story cuts deeper because he can't answer. One photo, one meeting witnessed by Joburg, no flights, no accusations in the files, and yet his name keeps surfacing over 200 times. Was he just a casual guest passing through Palm Beach, looking at real estate or networking like any celebrity? Or did he see or hear something that made him dangerous? The wildest rumors claim Neverland was his shield against the kind of predation Epstein practiced, that he knew enough to become a liability. His death in 2009, propofol overdose ruled accidental but controversial, happens years before Epstein's arrest. No direct link exists. Still, in the echo chamber of speculation, people ask, coincidence or convenient silence? We're not declaring verdicts here. This is an investigation unfolding in real time, piecing together fragments from court documents, leaked emails, witness statements, and public admissions. The files give us timelines, photos, and words on paper. They don't give us the full video reel or the backroom conversations. What they do give is enough to keep the questions alive and growing. Gates stands in that town hall 2 days ago, owning his regret. Jackson remains a frozen smile in old photos. Both orbit the same black hole Epstein created. Rogan called it, years ago, a compromise machine designed for the elite. And if even a fraction of the darkest theories hold water, then we're not looking at isolated scandals. We're looking at a system, one that fished for nerds, for icons, for anyone whose fall could shift power quietly behind closed doors. So as the clock ticks toward more releases, or more redactions, the biggest question isn't just about Gates or Jackson. It's about everyone else still in the shadows. How many more are out there, holding their breath, waiting for the next file drop to decide their fate? Let's bring it all home now, fast and hard, because the clock is ticking and the shadows are getting longer. It started with Joe Rogan, years ago on his podcast, dropping truth bombs when almost no one believed him. He talked about Epstein's Island as a compromise factory, elites getting filmed in their weakest moments, the whole rotten system designed to control the powerful. People laughed it off as conspiracy talk. Then came the slow drip. Court documents, flight logs, victim testimonies. Finally, 3 weeks ago, the DOJ unleashes the mother lode. 3 million pages of raw files, emails, photos, videos, contact lists. Names that were once whispers now scream from the pages. And just 2 days ago, February 25th, 2026, Bill Gates stands in front of his own foundation staff in a packed town hall, voice steady, but eyes heavy, admitting it was a huge mistake to ever cross paths with Epstein. He confesses to 2 secret affairs with Russian women, swears he saw nothing illicit, regrets every second. Meanwhile, Michael Jackson's frozen smile in those Palm Beach photos keeps circulating online, fueling endless rumors. Protector of the innocent, victim of the machine, or silenced because he knew too much. From Rogan's early warnings to the massive file dump, to Gates's public apology, to the Jackson whispers that refuse to die. This is the linear chain of events unfolding right now, are in real time, and it's accelerating. But here's the gut punch that keeps millions awake at night. The Department of Justice just declared the investigation closed. No new charges, no new indictments. Epstein's dead, Maxwell's locked up. Everyone else, walking free. The official line is case closed, yet they released those 3 million pages more than 40 days late, in fragmented batches, with heavy redactions and vague excuses. Large portions still withheld. Entire archives of videos and images locked behind black bars. If this is really the end, why does it feel like the beginning of something much bigger? Now lean in close, because this is where the darkest theories catch fire, and we're not claiming proof, only that the questions won't shut up. What if the files we've seen are just the surface layer, the controlled release designed to satisfy outrage without touching the core? What if Epstein wasn't a lone predator, but the frontman for a state-level intelligence operation, Mossad, CIA, or a quiet alliance between them, built to gather compromat on the world's most influential people? Gates, with his grip on global health and billions in sway. Jackson, with cultural power that could move hearts and minds across continents. Both perfect targets, one for his brain, one for his legend. If cameras were rolling, and witnesses say they were everywhere, then those unreleased videos could be the ultimate leverage. Not for public scandal, but for quiet control. Votes in Congress, policy shifts, corporate decisions, elections, wars. All nudged by invisible strings pulled from the shadows. Who's protecting the rest of the names? The ones still in power, still on boards, still shaping policy? The DOJ says it's over, but survivors' lawyers scream for more. Congress pushes back. Whistleblowers hint at deeper layers, and every time another batch drops, the same powerful faces keep appearing. Yet no handcuffs, no trials, just silence from the top. If this really is the full truth, why does the system seem so desperate to keep the lid on? And if it's not, if we're only seeing what they allow us to see, then who exactly is deciding what stays buried? This isn't about one billionaire's regrets or one pop star's ghost. It's about whether the most powerful people on Earth operate under the same rules as the rest of us, or if they've built a parallel world where compromise is currency and truth is optional. Bill Gates and Michael Jackson might just be 2 names on a long, terrifying list, or they might be the keys that unlock the entire machine. Gates says he's sorry. Jackson can't speak anymore. Rogan keeps asking the questions no one else will. And the files? They keep coming. Slowly, carefully, never all at once. For what comes next? Predictions for the future. Fallout. Now that the dust is settling on the massive 2026 Epstein file drops, over 3 million pages, thousands of images and videos, and a DOJ that's already slamming the door shut with case closed, the real question isn't what we've seen, it's what's still coming. The files aren't truly finished releasing, redactions are thick, archives remain withheld, and whispers from survivors, lawmakers, and online sleuths suggest more leaks, subpoenas, or surprise batches could hit any time. Here's a grounded but chilling look at what might unfold in the months and years ahead, based on the patterns we're already seeing. First, Bill Gates won't escape the spotlight soon. His February 25th town hall apology and admissions about the 2 Russian affairs only fueled more scrutiny. Expect renewed calls for deeper probes into his foundation's dealings. Did any Epstein-linked funds ever touch global health initiatives? Rumors of additional private emails or redacted photos surfacing could force another public reckoning, especially if Melinda French Gates speaks out again. She's stayed mostly silent since her NPR comments, but one more drip could reignite divorce-era headlines and pressure Gates to step back from public roles. Michael Jackson's name will keep haunting the conversation too. Those Palm Beach photos and the 200-plus mentions, mostly benign, aren't going away. Conspiracy circles are already spinning theories tying Neverland to Epstein's network as a counter-operation or claiming unreleased videos show more. With Jackson long gone, the focus might shift to estate battles or posthumous documentaries digging into old contacts. And if any new witness testimony leaks tying him closer, even tangentially, the backlash could explode across music archives and fan communities. But the bigger storm is brewing around the names that keep popping up repeatedly without full fallout. Donald Trump, hundreds of mentions, flight logs, old photos. Elon Musk, emails about potential island visits, party invites. Prince Andrew, still the most legally tangled royal. Bill Clinton, island trips, massages described, and a slew of tech/finance titans like Sergey Brin, Larry Summers, Peter Thiel, Les Wexner, and Howard Lutnick. These aren't one-offs. They're recurring threads in emails, contact books, and redacted sections. Look for Congress to keep pushing. Representatives like Ro Khanna have already forced out some redacted names on the House floor. Expect more hearings, subpoenas for withheld FBI interviews, or even a fresh push to unseal the black books fully. And survivors' lawyers won't quit. They're demanding the unreleased videos and drives, claiming the DOJ's done declaration is premature. If a whistleblower or hacked batch drops, as happened with earlier leaks, watch for fresh chaos around Musk. His ex-posts demanding full release could backfire if more emails surface. Trump, ongoing accusations and missing pages tied to old claims. Or even lesser-known but powerful figures like former officials or billionaires who've stayed quiet. On the darkest prediction, if the unreleased material truly holds compromat-level videos or leverage docs, we might never see them. The system could keep protecting its own through endless delays, national security claims, or quiet settlements. But pressure is building. Public outrage, AI-assisted deep dives into the files, and Rogan-style podcasts amplifying every crumb. In 6 months to a year, we could see resignations from boards, more foundation shakeups, and/or even civil suits that drag names back into court. Bottom line, Gates and Jackson opened the door, but the hallway behind it is long and dark. The next name to get called out, loudest? Probably one we've heard before, Trump, Musk, or Clinton, because familiarity breeds the biggest reaction. Or it could be a fresh bombshell from the shadows. Either way, the Epstein saga isn't ending. It's evolving. Stay tuned. The files may be closed, but the questions are wide open. So here's where you come in. What do you think? Are Gates and Jackson isolated tragedies in a broken man's web, or are they symptoms of a system that's still running, still collecting, still controlling from the dark? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Raw, honest, no filter. Share this if you believe the truth deserves to breathe free. Because if we stop asking, if we let them declare case closed while the shadows stay intact, then the real winners aren't the victims or the truth seekers. They're the ones still holding the tapes. The files aren't done dropping, neither are we. Stay awake. Keep watching. The next revelation could change everything.